After now, in terms of the wine, the cups, the size of the cups, minimum it should be 3 ounces. You should have a becher that's at least 3 ounces. If you're able to have a larger becher, like 4, 4.1, 4.2, that's preferable. We prefer to use wine over grape juice. Can't handle wine, so use grape juice. If you could dilute wine and grape juice, that's preferable over just using plain grape juice. If it's the more the wine, the better it is. We prefer using red wine over white wine, because red wine commemorates the blood that was spilled by Pari when he killed Jewish children, because he got sick. He had what's called leprosy. Not the same leprosy discussed in the Torah, obviously, but he had some type of skin disease, and the doctors told him that he should bathe in blood. He would kill children every day to bathe in the blood. So that's the reason why we specifically use red wine. The cups that you use for the Seder, even in general, we use for Kiddush Hamdalah, cannot be chipped, it can't be cracked, it has to be complete. Should be using nice cups for the Seder. So I believe you already discussed what has to be prepared on Erev Pesach, right? All the things need to prepare. We went through that already. What has to be prepared? So now we're just focusing on the Seder. So, after Kiddush comes, Urchatz, we wash our hands. Why do we wash our hands? Because in general, throughout the year, when you're eating food that's wet from the 7 liquids, whether it's water or wine, oil, what else? Other ones aren't so practical. Basically, it's water, wine, and oil. Olive oil, you have to wash your hands. There's a machlekes, there's an argument during the year if you have to. But that's why during the year when you eat wet foods, you wash without a bracha, because it's questionable if you have to wash or not. Whereas when you wash for bread, it's obligatory, so you wash for bracha. But washing for wet foods all year round is questionable, so that's why we wash without a bracha.
What are examples of wet foods?
You just washed an apple,
Okay.
and the apple is still wet. So if you want to eat it wet, you should eat it all year round. The proper thing is to wash your hands, like you wash for bread, just without a bracha. It's easier just to dry it. Yes, so then you dry it, obviously. But if you're not going to dry it, you should. Generally, all year round, a lot of people are not so careful with this, and if people aren't careful, okay, it's fine. We don't have to make an issue out of it, because there are opinions that say you don't. Comes the night of Pesach, we are careful, because night of Pesach we're careful with everything. So, yeah. What was I saying?
When do you wash?
Huh?
When do you wash?
Right after Kiddush, we wash our hands without a bracha. Be careful not to say a bracha. If you do say a bracha, it becomes a whole issue what to do. It's a discussion for itself. I'm not going to go into it now. Then comes Yachas, we break the middle matzah. For those where I understand in the dorm, they give everyone 3 matzahs and a kaira, Seder plate.
Yeah.
I think the Rebbe said they should.
Oh, we have our own.
Everyone has their, yeah, you own 3 matzahs. Also kaira?
Yeah.
Kaira too. Okay.
Not necessarily a plate, so.
A kaira with all the things that go on top of it.
There's a plastic plate with all the things on, something like that.
Saying on the matzah, you also have the Zroya and the Mara. Yeah, that's well, amazing. Now, generally, just that you know, in general, in house, and even Crownites there, most women and girls do not have their own. For sure, not a kaira, but even own 3 matzahs, they don't have. I grew up, my father would give whoever was over bar mitzvah would get their own 3 matzahs. I grew up thinking, oh, that's how it is. Then I started teaching. I realized that most women and girls do not have their own 3 matzahs. So if you have your own 3 matzahs, then you break the middle matzah, and middle matzah is broken in a way that one is larger than the other. Then we take the larger piece and we break it into 5 pieces while it's still under the covering. Then you wrap it up and you put it away somewhere. So hide it, so you should have it for the afikomen that you have at the end of the meal. So the smaller piece is going to be for doing the mitzvah of matzah, and the larger piece is the afikomen, which you break into 5 pieces. And then we're not going through the whole Agadah, so we don't have Agadah here, but just the basic things that you need to know. I skipped carpus. We wash, no, but not everyone, no, it doesn't matter, because if we go a lot, it's in Agadah. We're just going through the things that are more complex. The basic things, what you do, what you say, you'll see in Agadah. But so we said Kaddish, then you wash hands for the bracha, and then you have the onion, we skipped onion and salt water. You dip the onion in salt water, and I don't think we discussed this yet. We just did Kiddush, right? We didn't get to this. You dipped onion in salt water, and you say Hadama. The salt water commemorates the tears the Jews cried in Mitzrayim. That's the tears. And we say Hadama. And when we say Hadama, we have in mind what do we have in mind? We have in mind the maror. We have in mind that the Hadama should also include the maror, the Romi lettuce and the horseradish that we can have during the meal. Because it's actually questionable when you eat the maror during the meal, do you say Hadama? Generally, you don't say a bracha on vegetables during the meal, it's part of the meal. But the maror is not really part of the meal, meaning it's not something that you're eating because, you want to eat vegetables because it's a mitzvah to eat it. So some opinions say you should say a bracha on the maror during the meal. Do we say a bracha on maror during the meal? No, because it's questionable. So when it comes to maror, we don't say a bracha. But being that some opinions say you do, so when you say Hadama on the onion and salt water, you have in mind that this Hadama should also include the maror during the meal and also the maror that you will have in the sandwich. Yeah.
What are the things I'm not supposed to eat is more than a kazayas worth of? The onion?
Correct. Shouldn't have more than a kazayas of the onion. Very good. Make sure if you're having the onion, you will not eat more kazayas, I can promise you. If you're having a potato, you might eat a kazayas. So be careful not to have a kazayas, because then it becomes questionable, should you say an after bracha or not. And then comes the yachas, we break the middle matzah, and then you'll see in the Agadah comes afterwards, the 4 questions, the Lachmani, everything that goes, and we're going straight now to Maitzi Matzah. So we're going to focus now on Maitzi Matzah. So because you have your own 3 matzahs, so we can discuss exactly how it's done. Basically what happens is you hold the top and bottom matzah. So the top one is whole, the bottom one is whole, and the middle one is broken. Like every other Shabbos and Yom Tov, you have Lech Mishnah, you make a bracha on 2 whole challahs. So now you're going to make a bracha on 2 whole matzahs, the top and the bottom, and you have a broken one. Actually, there is an opinion that says that on the night of Pesach, you don't have to have Lech Mishnah. You just have to have 1 whole and 1 broken. Because the Torah says, Lechem pour bread. On the Chatfilah, we have Lechem Mishnah. So we have 2 whole matzahs and the broken one. So we cover all opinions. And then when we say Amaitzi, we hold on to the top one and the bottom one. And we say Amaitzi, Lechem Mishnah. Now, if you say Amaitzi, you usually you can eat right away. Over here, you're not going to be eating right away because you want to say the bracha on achilas matzah. It's a mitzvah to eat matzah. Tonight at Pesach, so before you do a mitzvah, you say a bracha. You say Amaitzi, you like a Mishnah, you let go of the bottom matzah. Now you're going to say the bracha al achilas matzah. Shekidishanu, and mitzvaysav, mitzvanu, al achilas matzah. It's like that. And when you say that bracha, you're going to be holding on to the top matzah and the middle one, the broken one. When you say the bracha, after I might see it's Lechem Mishnah, the whole matzah. Then you let go of the bottom one and holding on to the top and the broken one.
But I
Right.
thought, what's the thing if you're taking the bottom?
Like commissioner. 2 whole matzahs. Like every Shabbos, you're a commissioner.
You know the one in the top part.
You're getting to it. Now you let go of the bottom one. You're a commissioner, right? Now you're gonna say al achilas matzah. And it's the matzah. So you can say al achilas matzah. Al achilas matzah, you don't need a commissioner, it's a mitzvah matzah. You don't need to do a commissioner. So what do you say al achilas matzah? On which matzah should you say out the bracha al achilas matzah? On the one that you're gonna do the mitzvah with. Which one do you do the mitzvah with? One opinion says the mitzvah is with the top one, whole one. Or one opinion says no, the mitzvah is the broken one, because the Torah says lechem oini, pour bread. You got to the mitzvah with the broken one. So when you're going to say al achilas matzah, you can have in mind. You're going to be holding the top one and the broken one, because one opinion says achilas matzah on the whole one. One opinion says achilas matzah on the broken one. So you say a bracha on both. And then after the bracha, you break off a kazayis from the top one. Then you take a kazayis from the broken one. The broken one might just about be a kazayis, so you take the entire broken one, depending how big the matzahs are. And then you eat it together. You don't want to interrupt between the bracha and the mitzvah. And it's not clear if the mitzvah on the whole one or the broken one. So you eat it together, you put it together like a sandwich. There's nothing in between. And you eat it together so you don't interrupt between the bracha and the eating. The men eat it reclining and the women are sitting. Now, how much is a kazayis? So, I'll give you in matzah. So, you know what's matzah? Let's say you have the matzah from here, Albany Bakery, let's say. You can get matzahs from here. So you have to know how many matzahs are to a pound. If you know, let's say, the matzahs over here in Albany Bakery, do you know where you're getting it from? Are you all getting it from the same? Or if you all get it from the same place, I could just discuss it together. Otherwise, right, okay. So basically, now, if you're able to handle matzah, sorry, but even then, you eat too much matzah, then you can't eat the meal. You know, it comes to the Seder, you have no appetite. So it's not ideal to eat a lot of matzah. Then when it comes to Sudas Yom Tov, you look to eat fish and meat, and you can't eat before that. So you don't want to stuff yourself with too much matzah. So it's good to know how much matzah you should eat. How do you know? So you have to know how many matzahs are per pound. How many matzahs per pound? Let's say if you're gonna get matzahs from here, from Albany Bakery, you can find out that it's like 6 matzahs per pound, and they're thick. So now, if you have a thick matzah like that, so then what you do is you're going to take about, let's say, a fifth of a matzah. So you take, let's say, a fifth of a matzah from the top one. And then you're going to take a fifth of a matzah from the broken one. Fifth. Now, the broken one is about a third of a matzah, because you broke the middle matzah, one larger than the other. And a small piece will be about a third, maybe more, less, approximately a third. Now, all you need is, because you're taking it from 2, now, this is going to be different. People don't have 3 matzahs, and then they just, you have to give an amount of matzahs, it's very different. Here, because you're taking it from the top and from the broken piece, you don't take so much. So you're getting from both matzahs. So you take like about, maybe like a fifth, it could be even less, but just to be safe, take like a fifth of the matzah from the top, and then take a fifth from the broken, and eat it together. That's if it's thick matzahs, and that's if the matzahs are, let's say, 6 matzahs per pound. But some you can have 8 matzahs per pound. I've seen some companies have 11 matzahs per pound. And then what you want to do is you want it to be more. You want it to be, let's say, it depends how thin it is. It should be like a half a matzah. If it's very thin, even a half a matzah. You can take a half a matzah from here, half a matzah from here. If it's, let's say, 8 matzahs per pound, maybe close to half, a third of a matzah, approximately. Yeah.
I think you do this in like a public Seder, and like you're going to also like maybe one person, like banana, the 3 years. And office, how did everybody get it?
You ask you people who don't have their own matzah. That's what we discussed. Okay. And let's say you don't have your own free matzah. What happens? And you have to have a commissioner. So one way to do it is, if you have a commissioner, the Yaitse is not commissioner. It can be even Yaitse before you wash. He has your mind, this is a Maitzi, has your mind. And then you want to get from his matzah, a commissioner want to get from his matzah. So chatchila, the proper thing is to get a piece from his top matzah, and if possible from his broken matzah also, if possible. You're not going to get enough to do the mitzvah because our matzahs aren't as big. It seems that it needs to be matzahs to be bigger. You could give to everyone. You get a small piece from the top, small piece from the middle one, and then you'll have your own matzah. And then if you have your own matzah, the amount is a little different. Whatever I said, you take from each matzah a certain amount, because you take from 2 matzahs. But if you're only getting from 1 matzah, then it's obviously more. Right? Because you're not taking from 2 matzahs.
Do I still have to make a bracha?
I might see, yeah.
And,
Sure. You say, just like every Shabbos and Yom Tov, when you hear Lachem Mishnah, but you still say your own bracha Maitzi, right? In the regular Shabbos Yom Tov, so it's the same thing. You say your own bracha Maitzi. You yaitz with this Lachem Mishnah, and then you have your own matzah. And preferably you should get a piece from his matzah also, if possible. Now, here's the issue: when you get a piece from his matzah, because after he says the brachas and then he starts eating it, he's not supposed to interrupt. So practically, the easiest way for him to give matzah is after he finishes eating. Now he can give out. Shouldn't be really interrupting. So one way is to wait until he finishes eating his matzah and then he'll give out a piece to everyone. Or theoretically, if there's someone else there, it facilitate it. They could come up while after he takes what he needs. Someone comes and takes from his matzah and gives out to everyone, divides. That could also be done. It really depends, how who's around and the practical aspect.
if I have my own 3 matzahs, like just from the beginning, then I'm able to do it myself, right?
Yeah, if you have all 3 matzahs, then you do everything yourself. That's it.
This is to clarify.
Yeah.
My husband has the 3 matzahs. He does what he has to do. He'll give me a small piece of his, and then I'll also have
Okay.
a separate matzah.
Okay, now, if you have thick matzahs, do you have thicker matzahs? You don't know?
Yeah.
Okay. Assuming, just like, give me like a full picture. If you, let's say, can have the thick, no, you're not having your own 3 matzahs, right? So now, if you have the thick matzahs, we said, from each matzah, all you need is like a 1/5 of a matzah. You take them, yeah. So now, theoretically speaking, theoretically actually refers to the middle matzah because the top one is really practical. There's so much, when you break the top matzah, there's enough to give. He could take a piece and give you a piece also. So he could actually, he might see you like a regular commissioner, right? It's only you and your husband, right? Now he has your mind, and then he breaks up a piece in the top, like a 1/5 of the matzah. Then he breaks up, and then he gives you a piece also. And then the middle one already is not so big, but it could be also because if all you need is a 1/5 of a matzah, so if you have a thick matzah and you break the middle matzah one larger than the other, so let's say you break it 55-45, right? So now a fifth, how much is a 1/5 of 100? About what is it, 16, 17? 17, yeah. Divide 100 into 5, 17, right? 20, right? No, I'm thinking about 6. 20, right? It's 20, right? Right. So now if you broke the matzah 55-45, the smaller piece has 2/5 in there, right?
Mhm.
So there's enough for you, there's enough for him. If it's a thicker matzah. Now, if it's thinner matzah, then still from the top matzah, there's still enough to give you. The smaller, the broken matzah, there isn't so much there to give you, so it'll give you a small piece, whatever he can give you, and then you'll have other matzah that you put together. But then it's very simple. He has your line, like Ed Mishnah, and he breaks off for him, he breaks off for you, yeah. And then simple. You have a whole family. It seems that the matzah used to be thicker, because the Shulchan discusses how the Malbus is made to everyone, and then he breaks off and he gives everyone a kazayas. He gives every one of the family kazayas from his matzah, and he gives kazayas to everyone from his matzah. The matzah used to be thicker. He's able to give everyone a kazayas. Yeah. That's it.
We, or very much as well, are running the Seder for a family, then, how do you, and you didn't check with like a pound at the moment, how do you make sure that you're getting the guides?
You're right. If you don't check beforehand, so when I grew up, we used to have a scale on the table, a little scale. I used to break it up and put it on the scale. Now, generally, you can't weigh on Yom Tov, but if it's from mitzvah, you could. So I did it for many years till I figured out, it's like becoming like a whole big mice and weighing it. So you figure out before you have an idea how thick the matzah, you know before Yom Tov how thick the matzah is, how much each matzah weighs. So you have an idea what it is. So unless you mamish limited and you can't eat even an ounce more because a gram more because allergies or whatever, gluten or things like that. So you have a drop more than what you need. It's not so bad. Yeah.
Maybe you have a drop more.
I'm saying is if you wait before Yom Tov, if you know before Yom Tov how many matzahs per pound, so you know how much each matzah weighs, so then you don't need the scale. You break off and you know approximately how much you need.
Okay, and then the things that you want to eat more than a desire.
You want to eat more, why do you want to eat more than
No,
nice?
you want to eat less. What you're saying?
I'm just, no, it's more simple than that. I'm just saying if you wait before, again, I'm not sure what, because the only way I understand would be easier, because I explained it already, I don't want to just repeat myself.
I'm saying.
What don't you get?
You're trying to eat a kazai's worth. But no more.
Kazais, right, kazais and matzah.
But no more?
You eat more,
Oh.
but you don't want to eat too much. A lot of people, after the matzah, it comes to the Suda, they're not doing Sudas Yom Tov. They can't eat anymore, they're full from the matzah. Why? It could be some people get full quickly. It could be a lot of people just eat more than they need to, because people aren't aware, you don't know how much you have to eat. You have to eat matzah. And if you have thick matzahs, they eat and they don't realize they don't even eat so much. So the proper thing is, so that is also called weighing. So figuring out, talking about the scale. You don't weigh a Yom Tov only for a mitzvah, right? But really, just also mitzvah. It's only going to be weighing it because you want to make sure it doesn't eat too much, because then you won't be able to do the mitzvah of eating Sudas Yom Tov. That's your mitzvah. Okay, to weigh. But anyways, if you do without the scale, if you have an idea before Yom Tov how much each matzah is. Now, when it comes to so now, when you say the bracha ala chilas matzah, you should have in mind also the matzah that's going to have in the sandwich, and also the matzah that's going to have without the payment, because you're not going to say another bracha ala chilas matzah. You say one bracha. You have in mind everything that's included in that mitzvah, in that bracha. The ala chilas matzah you have in mind also for the mitzvah of the sandwich and the mitzvah of afikomen. Now, from when you wash, you should not be speaking until after the afikomen. I'm sorry, until after the sandwich. Until after the sandwich. Unless it's important, it's relevant to the mitzvah, then you could speak if you need to. Obviously, it's preferable to motion, not to speak. But if you need to speak, it's relevant to the mitzvah, you could. But other than that, from when you wash until you finish the sandwich, you should not speak. You don't interrupt between the bracha and the mitzvah. After the matzah goes the maror. Maror is the bitter herbs. Now, what do you use for maror? You can either use, I don't think use either horseradish, or you can use romaine lettuce. You can use either one according to halacha, but minig Chabad is that we use both. So practically we use both romaine lettuce and horseradish, that's minig Chabad. But halachically you could use either one. It means the children don't want to hear of horseradish, and some adults perhaps also don't want to hear of horseradish. So you could use romaine lettuce and you do the mitzvah. Perhaps put a drop of horseradish on it. But halachically, romaine lettuce is good. Romaine lettuce is considered maror. And if you're wondering why is romaine lettuce considered maror if it's not bitter, then the explanation is, and actually romaine lettuce is preferable over horseradish. If you have to choose between the two, romaine lettuce is preferable, even though it's not bitter. Why? Because romaine lettuce resembles the style of how pottery enslaved us. Because romaine lettuce, the root of the romaine lettuce in the beginning is very soft and sweet. And then as it sits in the ground and it grows and it gets rooted to the ground more and more, it becomes bitter. And that's exactly how pottery enslaved us. First it was very sweet, very soft, then it became bitter. What did pottery do? Pottery told the Jewish people that, come. You can all work together, and for every brick that you make, you'll get a gold coin. And Pottery went down with them, and he worked with the Jews. There was a whole party going on. Pottery is one of them. Look, so excited. Every brick, you're going to get a gold coin. It motivates you. They really put all their energy into it. At the end of the day, Pottery said, when we're going to need a count of how many bricks they made. Count of the bricks. Oh, okay, so every Jew made X amount of bricks. Okay. From now on, this is the amount of bricks they need to make every single day. And this will be for nothing. They will get nothing for it. It started very soft and became bitter. So the romaine lettuce resembles that, and that's why it's preferable to use romaine lettuce over horseradish. So it says in halacha. Now, we do both. We do romaine lettuce and we do horseradish. That's minig Chabad. But if you don't you can't handle horseradish, so then you use romaine lettuce. The amount of romaine lettuce is not a lot. It's maybe about, I'm not sure, it's about between 15 and 20 grams. It's not a large amount. You dip it into the charesis. Charesis represents the cement that the Jews worked with in the tribe. You dip it into the charesis, then you shake it off. Oh, and the charesis that we use, what's the charesis? The charesis is, remember what's charesis? Ground, walnuts, and apples ground together, and wine.
Wine in there, if you're not with it.
Right, so either you made the charesis before Yom Tov ready with the wine, or if you didn't, a lot of people don't, they just have the ground walnuts and apples ground together, and then on Yom Tov, they don't mix it into the wine, because they want to make some charesis without the wine for later on, for the sandwich, and you dip the romaine lettuce that has horseradish on it into the charesis, then you shake it off, because you don't want to take away from the taste of the bitterness, and then you say the bracha, and you have in mind, I'm sorry, you'd say the bracha al achilas maror. You should say that. When we said adama, we had in mind, when we said adama on the onion and salt water, you already had in mind for the adama that we're going to have during the meal. We say the bracha al shekidishanu, the mitzvaysav, mitzivanu, al achilas maror. And what do you have in mind? You have in mind for this, you know, the mitzvah. You also have in mind the maror that's going to be inside the sandwich, because right afterwards, having the sandwich, maror and matzah together, and over there also doing the mitzvah of eating maror, as you'll explain. So when we say the bracha al achilas maror, You also have in mind the mud that's going to be inside the sandwich. You had a question, right?
Yeah, the problem was how much for that is or is it any?
You mean percentage wise? It's 50,
Yeah.
50, 60, 40, like that? Haven't seen anything about that. What I always wondered about, I never found anything, maybe for example, being that according to Allah, it's preferable to have Roman lettuce, but our customers use both, we need to make sure that the Roman lettuce should have a amount of myrrh without the horseradish, being that that's preferable. Or is it okay that we combine for the shear, the measurement that we need, will we combine both together? Or should we make sure that we have the amount that we need to do the mitzvah just with the Roman lettuce itself? And that's preferable. I think that's what the trainer would seem that yes, the Roman lettuce should have an amount in itself because in Shulchan Aruch it's preferable to use Roman lettuce. That means it would seem to be. I just haven't seen it anywhere, but I think that's how it should be. Then it is we use both, and we use that too. But the Roman lettuce is actually preferable. The Roman lettuce should the trainer just them growing up parents with father directly that make sure the Roman lettuce has the share. We just never came up. Yeah. Then afterwards comes the plate of the sandwich. Now for the sandwich, we don't have to have such a large amount of matzah because it's not midrabanan. So again, whatever amount I told you for the matzah, when it comes to the sandwich, you can have a little less than that because it's midrabanan, so it's a smaller amount. And we take that piece of matzah and you break it in half, and you make a sandwich out of it. You put the maror inside sandwich, and again, what do you use for maror? Use both. Use Roman lettuce, horseradish, and you dip it into the harasis, and you shake it off, and you make a sandwich out of it. But now, which harasis do you use? Now you're not going to use harasis that has wine in it. You have harasis with wine and without wine. Like I said, or some people make 3 types of harasis with wine, without wine, or you make without wine, and then from the maror, you mix that, you put some wine into that harasis, but you still have harasis left without wine, right? And that's called dry harasis. It's not really dry. And that's called dry harasis. And you dip the maror into that harasis, and you shake it off, and then you make a sandwich out of it. And before you eat the sandwich, you say what's written in Agada, Kain Asahilo, the section, paragraph that's in Agada, Kain Asahilo. This is what Hillel did. Now, the reason why we have the sandwich is because according to Hillel, that's how we do the mitzvah of eating maror. Because why do we eat maror? We eat maror. The Torah says that we eat maror. These days, no. We eat maror. The times of this Mikdash, we eat maror with the current Pesach, with the matzah maror. According to Hillel, it was a sandwich. Slice of the current Pesach, meat of the sacrifice, matzah maror, then a sandwich out of it. So the reason why we eat maror these days is to remember what it did at times of this Mikdash that they had maror. According to Hillel, how did they eat the maror? The times of this Mikdash, it wasn't a sandwich. So according to Hillel, the way to perform the mitzvah of eating maror the night of Pesach is together with matzah. Otherwise, we haven't done the mitzvah of eating maror. That's why when we say the bracha on the maror, on the we have in mind also the maror that's going to be inside the sandwich. And before we eat it, we say, King Osdoba, this is what Hillel did at the time of this Mikdash. He would take a piece of piece of meat from the sacrifice, roasted meat, matzah, maror, eat it together. Now, after the Pesach, finally you can talk. Then after the Pesach, after the sandwich comes what? Shulchan Aruch. Now comes the meal. Hopefully you still have an appetite to eat. At the beginning of the meal, the custom is that we eat the egg. We take the egg off the kaira, we peel it. It's on the kaira with the peel, by the way. You don't peel it before you put it on the kaira, it's with the peel. You peel it, and the best way to peel the egg is to peel it standing by the garbage can. So the peels fall straight into the garbage can, so you have no issues with muktzah. Otherwise, you peel it onto the table, it becomes a whole issue with muktzah. Peels are muktzah. You know what I mean, muktzah.
Even if it's in my mouth, yeah.
Oh, no, even if it's a napkin, correct, because you're still moving the napkin. It's on the napkin, so you're still picking up the word muktzah. Now, there is a way how to do it. That is, if you put it on a plate and during the year, we would say there's bread on the plate. Now we can say there's matzah on the plate. And then you can pick up the plate that has the matzah with the peels together. And then you can bring it to the garbage can and shake it out while you're holding on to the piece of challah or Pesach, piece of matzah. But you don't really get rid of the matzahs. You don't deal with this on Pesach with matzah. The matzahs are covered, and it makes it much easier. Now, in the event that someone did peel it on the table, let's say, and now it's bothering you, you don't like to see the peels there. And in other words, because you're still using the space, you're using that place, as opposed to, well, when you finish the meal and just leaving, you're not going to be there, but it's annoying you. So then there is a heter. There's a leniency. I mean, it's not just a leniency, it's one clearly that is permitted, that if it's bothering you, then you're allowed to move muktzah. So there's a special leniency that when something is really bothering you, it can't just be it's bothering you, sometimes people, it's not covered Shabbos, so it's bothering you. That's not what I mean. Even it's annoying you, this peel, the thing doesn't look nice and it's annoying you. Chacham more lenient with muktzah, because muktzah is rabbinic. The whole idea of muktzah is rabbinic. But the rabbinic, the same Chachamim who decree on muktzah tell us, well, if it's bothering you, we're going to allow you to move it. So if it's going to be bothering you, you're going to be allowed to move the peels. But the chatchila, it's not proper. You're not allowed to set up such a situation to peel. I want to peel it here, it's easier. But you know how to move it. Oh, but it's going to be bothering me. And if it's going to be bothering me, I'll be able to move it. The chatchila, you can't set up that situation that you have to move it because it's bothering you. So the best for the chatchila is to peel it straight into the garbage can. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue with Hashem.
Thank you very much. No.
Hello. Check.
Yeah.